Hey there, hi there, ho there. I am JJ, and I'd like to welcome you back to another thrilling episode of Disney Compendium, Volume 15, Lady and the Tramp. Like I said earlier, I'm your host JJ, and back again to save me, my co-host Nick.
I'm back and better than ever.
4 minutes, not even 4 minutes in, and you're already throwing out a wrestling reference. This is
I'm super excited to talk about Peter Pan today. Um,
Listen, I will let you talk about Peter Pan all you want if that's how you want this episode to go.
like he's basically Link, right?
Okay. Yeah, see, this is the so obviously Nick wasn't with me last week when I recorded two episodes of Peter Pan. One of them lost to the ether. And
JJ is super chill about it, by the way.
yeah, I'm very happy. I'm probably gonna watch Peter Pan again this week and talk about it ad nauseum. No, never.
I didn't watch him break things off camera when I mentioned it, so that's cool.
But yeah, if you have any opinions of Peter Pan that you want to get off your chest out the gate here, I gave them your ranking last time on the last
Uh,
episode.
so Peter Pan, peanut butter.
Okay, there we go. It's one thing I forgot to mention is the Peter Pan
Uh,
peanut butter.
I'm indifferent about Tinkerbell
Okay,
and Captain Hook's dope.
is a dope or is dope?
He
Both.
is dope.
Okay,
Yes.
which Captain Hook? The Disney Captain Hook or the Robin Williams, Dustin Hoffman?
I mean, to be fair, I do like the quasi-suicidal Dustin Hoffman Captain Hook, um, but this Hook's pretty good too.
Okay, enough of Peter Pan for this week. Let's get to the
Eh,
actual movie we're talking about, Lady and the Tramp, as I already said. Released in June of 1955, which is only 1 month before Disneyland opens. So, as you could assume, Walt's attention was very much not with this movie.
it's you want to do a dog movie? Great, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah,
It's got
and
dogs.
yeah, it's dogs. It's all about the dogs and cats and everyone. Absolutely cats. Boy, does it have some cats.
Yeah, it does. Uh,
But
not
let's
not not
before we
till
get
Aristocats came around would they have this many cats.
yes, but the cats that they have in here, they make count. but
Mm.
we'll get there. We'll get there very
Yeah.
quickly. We'll get there. But so um, this movie is just kind of exists, doesn't it? Like,
Well, I think you said via text to me like a few days ago that it doesn't really pick up till the third act.
yeah, it's a movie that everything that happens in the third act. Like the first two acts are just sort of day in the life kind of nonsense. Like
Hmm.
nothing's really going on, and then it's like now we got to actually have some conflict going on other than just like the traditional comedy film love story of she hates him, he's this likable scamp. Yeah.
It's the opposites attract video with Paul Abdul.
Yes, it's 100%. That's but I'm a little sick today, so I'm gonna have you start with we'll go through our plot rundown of Lady and the Tramp. So if you wanna,
Okay, so let's see. I was half awake when I watched it on New Year's Eve, so I'll give it the best.
it's technically a Christmas movie because it starts on Christmas.
Starts on Christmas. It has so Lady's a puppy. Oh God. uh, she gets adopted by this family. And their attitude toward her changes once they figure out the wife or the mother is pregnant with a baby. It's like she's a little bit colder to her lady. Am I on the right track there?
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay. And then we kind of get a little bit of a glimpse of Tramp, like his adventures and his friends, and
Yeah,
we also get
homeless
some
dog. Yeah,
some really culturally inappropriate animals first make an appearance here.
Yeah, despite being, because you got Jock, who's the Scottish Terrier, who's like, if this were made a little like if this were like a DreamWorks movie, he would have a kilt and a tam o' shanter on his head, and
Yes,
he would just like he is absolutely just playing a Scotsman, like not even trying
yes,
to be a dog. He's just a Scotsman. Like,
yeah. Jock is so inappropriately over the top Scottish that he makes Flintheart Glomgold blush.
yeah, I mean, Groundskeeper Willie is
Groundskeeper
more
Williams.
culturally.
Hold up. Ah, a lot of
Yeah, it's like his food bowl should have haggis in it, like but yeah, they just boy, they are just all over. They just double down on that, and I like Trusty the Bloodhound. It's a good character.
Yes.
He's a
Yeah.
fun, just, but it is every Bloodhound that's ever been in a cartoon, like
Uh,
with the exception of
yes.
like, yeah, with the exception of like, you know, oh, plague dogs or something, like uh, just
They
it's
they
like
can.
a very traditional bloodhound with the droopy ears, but his the caveat is that he doesn't have his sense of smell. He thinks
Mhm.
he does, but he doesn't.
Yes.
So he's a bad bloodhound now, but he's retired, so doesn't.
It's this kind of started a trend. They really started like sneaking Bloodhound into a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah,
Like you had 101 Dalmatians, you had the Aristocats, like a lot of blood. And they all got to sound like super. They got to sound either super southern or super slow.
yeah. I mean, like they're all droopy dog. you
Yeah.
know,
It makes me mad.
yeah, they all have to sound like they have something in their cheeks while talking, and yeah, you either have to have the southern drawl or I'm on Quaaludes.
Just clinically depressed dogs.
Yeah, um, but yeah, so the first step of this movie is introducing you to what is the I, does the family have? I know it's like Jim Deer and Darling, but those aren't like names. Like because in the Peter Pan movie, they're the Darlings.
I,
So, and
I,
we only know her as Darling, the wife, and we know,
yeah,
and he's Jim Deer. Is that his
Jim
name? Or
Deere. Oh,
because
maybe that's
like
like
yeah, I don't know. Uh,
maybe it's from the perspective of Lady, where she hears them refer to each
yeah,
other as that, and
like
that's
it's
what she thinks they are.
like it's an untrustworthy narration kind of situation, like where you're just hearing
Hmm.
it from. She just hears the pet names for one another, so we don't have real names for one another. It's like, you know, uh, uh, you don't have Tramp. Isn't Tramp like that's just his nickname? He doesn't really have a name until the very end of the movie. like,
Yeah. I mean, at least Lady has a name,
yeah,
and yeah, Trusty. But yeah, we and Bull has a name, so
yeah, yeah. But like, yeah. So it's Lady and the Tramp, and Tramp is just because Tramp means something completely different now than it did in these time frame because Tramp was essentially just
the Charlie Chaplin character.
Charlie Chaplin, yeah, because Chaplin was a tramp. That was the lovable tramp kind of character. It was some vaguely homeless, but not necessarily just sort of poor and sad kind of
Yeah.
life kind of situation. But
Y-
also Oliver Twist kind of thing, like
Yes. Yes.
uh,
Just to clarify, if you've not seen the movie, the dog does not have a whale tail.
yeah. There's no yes, he's uh, but uh, but boy, once the uh, once the aunt comes to town to take care of the baby,
I hate
things
the ant,
the
JJ.
aunt
I hate
character
her so much.
it's not like there's no subtlety to this character in the slightest.
Yeah.
Like she is specifically there to cause havoc to the story and does it out the gate when she brings her two cats, the Siamese cats.
Yes. Who wastes no time in getting Lady in trouble.
Yeah, getting almost like getting like every like you feel like you're in trouble just watching it. Like
Yes,
they are like, and they have a super catchy song that you cannot sing. Like
but everybody knows it.
everyone knows the song. It's they still put it like on soundtracks, like when you get compilations. Like this song gets picked out over any other song in the movie, which is absurd because there is that like he's a tramp sort of like burlesque song that's later on in the movie.
And then there's also the spaghetti scene song, and
Yeah, and stuff like that. But no, the Siamese cat song is the one they really like to fall onto, and boy, it's just let's sing it in the most Asian stereotype voice we can. Make these cats as you have the typical. We always joke going back to professional wrestling references.
mhm.
Uh, Anytime an Asian superstar comes over to the WWE, they always give them like it's gongs and pan flutes and
Yeah,
and
or like
like
ooh,
yeah,
yeah,
and that's exactly what this song is.
yeah,
It is,
yeah.
it is like
And the
every,
and the funny thing is, like Disney goes back to the Siamese cat thing later on
they
with
absolutely do. Yeah.
with Paul Winchell and Aristocats. Fortune cookie always wrong is a direct quote.
Uh, but yeah, the cats just start just destroying whatever they can get their paws on. And of course, it gets Lady into trouble because it obviously couldn't be the cats.
Yes, Aunt Sarah is a an obtuse an obtuse shrew.
Yes. Um, but then they go and then she like gets the muzzle for Lady.
Yes.
Like, uh, and then that's when Lady gets away. She's,
Yeah.
you know, gets involved. That's where she meets Tramp and all this nonsense because she's fled and she gets caught up in the bad part of town, like it's some sort of like West Side Story situation with pet gangs.
Yeah. I don't know why I always remember the part where the beaver chews her muzzle off. I don't know
Because
why I always remember that. It's like,
it's absolutely absurd and it makes no like like it feels like there's a dozen different ways you could have had this scenario play out, but in an animator's mind, it was like, and then she finds herself at the zoo. And while she's at the zoo, of course, there's a beaver at the zoo, and the beaver chews the muzzle off.
yeah,
What? What? Okay.
that,
I mean,
that's what beavers do.
yeah, it's yeah. Um, and so they're living footloose and collar free. That's a real thing from the movie. That I'm not just referencing a movie that we hate.
Oh,
It,
I actually don't remember that line. I thought you were just like referencing that terrible movie. It's like,
no.
why are you dragging that nonsense into this podcast?
Yeah, but this whole thing plays out with leads up to what is the scene from this movie, the one that everyone turns to when you see Lady and the Tramp, the poster, the DVD cover, the Blu-ray cover, whatever you get has the iconic scene of them having the Italian dinner together. Um, while the chef is playing music for them and they're eating,
Playing the accordion. Yeah.
yeah, it is again, not being subtle with their stereotypes.
No, the chef should be on a pizza box somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, he's got that. That
Simpsons thing. No, excuse me. I have to post for a pizza box.
what the? Yeah, it's like this and the Italian chef from The Simpsons are the exact same character. Just
Yes.
I only mean you a scum like a compared to Krusty.
I think they even make a Lady and the Tramp gag in there somewhere, don't they?
Absolutely, I think more than once. Uh,
Yeah. Oh, with
but
Santa's Little Helper and the
yeah, Santa's Little
yes.
Helper. Yes. With it when he yes the episode where he falls in love with the other race dog.
Yeah.
Uh, but but yeah, so you have that whole thing, and of course uh, lady finds out that he's had multiple girlfriends in the past, and that is enough for her to dump him like after their 12-second relationship.
Yes. What? A stray dog has other girlfriends? How
um,
dare he?
uh, but eventually, uh, Sarah, because eventually, Lady finds herself at the pound, and the aunt comes and claims her again and ties her up in the backyard.
Which kind of defeats the purpose, I guess. Like why? I don't.
Yeah,
Uh, I don't know.
yeah. But
But then we get that rat scene, and
that is kind of a freaky scene. Like
I hate.
the way it's painted, it makes it look like a horror movie. Like
Yes,
yeah, with the lightning and all of the stuff going, and like the lighting effects and the fight between the two is like without showing anything, like you get a sense of graphicness to it.
and I already hate rats as it is, so that scene sticks out to me every time I watch that movie.
Yeah, yeah,
It was
uh,
very Ricky Tikki Tavi, that scene.
yes, it absolutely was. Um, but yeah, but Tramp uh, finds his way there and helps finish off the rat.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, Obviously, as we were mentioning, so Tramp's the one that's there, and yeah, that doesn't go over well with the aunt here.
Who is blind to all evidence ever. Um, the dog catcher comes back,
Yeah, uh, yeah, boy, take the animal away.
and just as she escapes, just as her owners show up,
Yep,
discover the dead rat.
dead rat, and realize that oh, that dog was saving our baby.
And now and as you would expect, they also adopt Tramp.
Yes, but we also skipped over
Oh,
the typical scene of every animal every movie that has a dog in it. At least one of them has to be put in mortal danger every time.
oh, the wagon wheel
Pins
scene.
Trusty. Yeah,
Yes.
it is. It is like there's like 2 minutes of is Trusty okay, and then it's like oh there he is, it's fine.
He's, he's
In
got
the
a
pin.
cast on.
Yeah, it's like oh no he's fine. They don't milk it for anything.
Yeah.
Like it's but yeah, then you jump forward to Christmas where he's been adopted and now they have puppies and all that stuff. With one of them, it looks exactly like Tramp, which will come into play in several decades after this movie comes out. But Jock's there with his. How how long has Jock's leg been? Not Jock. Uh, Trusty's leg been broken because they have a litter of puppies. Uh,
It,
and he's
that
still
takes.
in a cast.
So what you're saying is Trusty is Cowboy Bob Morton?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Because, like I said, they, they're they weren't a couple. I don't know what happened during that. Obviously, there's clearly some time frame that we don't have when they were on their date, but I don't still don't think that uh, much happened during that much happened during their date. But I guess
So
they are dogs.
you know what's funny is this is another stupid wrestling thing, and I'm sorry, people, but I'm imagining like Trusty with his arm in a sling, like giving like Randy RNN updates every week. Like I'm suffering a setback.
Yeah. So you have a litter of pup. You have it's Christmas Day because it's been a year, hasn't it? By this because no, I mean no.
So
So
lady's a year old.
by the time because the movie starts at Christmas and it ends at Christmas,
Well,
so
she's a pup when the movie starts.
and so you would assume by the time you get to the baby, it's
She's maybe
been
14 months old.
yeah, a couple like yeah, it could be like another year's passed so because yeah, so I don't know. I don't know, but I still don't understand how Trusty gets pinned under the wagon wheel and then they have a litter of puppies and he still have a his legs in a cast. Like unless I guess I don't know what the gestation cycle of dogs are, but I don't. It's,
That's. I think I saw a trailer for that at the theater a few days ago. The gestation
yeah,
dog.
yeah. It's from the makers of A Dog's Way Home and A Dog's Purpose, Gestation of Dog.
An Isle of Dogs.
Wes Anderson movie.
Yes. Pin old trusty under a wagon wheel.
But yeah, I mean, it is a 77-minute movie, but it feels like it's 45 minutes because it just kind of clops along. It doesn't.
Well, yeah, but like you said, it's like a three-part movie.
Yeah, because it
You
is.
know.
It's like lady as the new puppy, then lady lady with the baby with the family not around, and then third act, which is just everything's gone to hell.
Mhm. Well,
So
like you said, like maybe Walt's attention was divided. Like, look,
it,
let's just get this thing done.
it is a movie that was very much just you. You guys got this. I trust you, kind of situation. Um, so, and it's a story that now I guess we can get the production stuff since we pretty much covered the entire movie. I mean, there's not much else to talk about with this movie. But one of the Disney storymen by the name of Joe Grant. This is sort of his story because it's sort of based on his dog. Like the dog, like it was um, he had a Springer Spaniel, and it's one of those things like they had a baby. And once they had a baby, the dog kind of just gets, it's not the, it's not part of your, it's just in your peripheral. It's not your motivation of doing anything anymore. It's like it's just now it's just part of the family. You can fend for yourself, dog, kind of situation.
Yeah, the dog's not your priority anymore.
Yeah, you haven't prioritized the dog anymore. Um, uh, But he sketched it out, gave it to Walt, and Walt was like, "Yeah, I like this." This was 1937 when this all plays out. So the roots of this story goes back 1937. Um, uh, but Walt was never happy with anything that they ever turned in, which Walt never was. It took forever to get Walt to sort of agree to anything, especially during this time frame in the 30s and 40s. It was pre World War II. You couldn't get Walt to agree to anything that wasn't absolutely perfect. Um,
But he was more hands-on at this point too.
yeah, in this age, and there wasn't any like there wasn't much going on in the movie. Um, then uh, um, Walt found a short story called Happy Dan the Cynical Dog, which is which ends up being based on in the end of the day. Um, so um, so his idea was, we'll take your story and we'll take this story, so your dog falls in love with the cynical dog, kind of thing. So they sort of combined his story with this short story that was in Cosmopolitan magazine. Um,
I just love that cynical dog.
yeah, Happy
It
Dan,
is
Happy
it
Dan,
is
the cynical
it is
dog.
it is the antithesis of what dogs are. Cynical.
It's like that's a cat. You're describing a cat.
You're a cat, yes.
But uh, and so also the names. Would you like to hear the names of Tramp before they settled on Tramp?
Sure.
Bozo. I
Okay.
that's
Okay. All
yeah.
right.
Rags. That's fine. That's basically the same thing as
Yeah.
Tramp.
Yeah, Rags would have been fine.
And my personal favorite, Homer.
Homer.
Homer. Homer and like Lady and the Homer.
Chili McFreeze. Ice Dagger.
I, boy, you were just doubling down on wrestling.
Uh,
I made zero last week, so you're like, I have to make sure that the status quo when the line chart comes out, it's like, okay, it evened it out though. So
and it's like you and me and maybe a handful of people listening who will get like, we get it, dude.
yeah. Um, but um, but going back to your reference earlier, um, the the names actually are because of the perspective of the dog situation. That's why
Okay.
they're nonsensical names. I was saving that for later because you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. It
I
is.
did.
It is a movie told from because, like in the script, they were Mister and Mrs. And so um, that's why you also never see them. You kind of never see their faces. It's like a Muppets Babies situation where
Or
it's
Tom and Jerry.
Tom and Jerry, and it's very much um, uh, Tom and Jerry. And like it was intentionally Tom and Jerry in a sense.
Which, I mean, Tom and Jerry cartoons are being put out around this time too, mid 50s. So
Yep, Mammy Two Shoes. That was Tom and Jerry's.
Thomas.
Let's just have a Tom and Jerry episode one time. Just
Yeah,
not
why not?
not even tell anyone. Just 1 week. It's no longer a Disney podcast. It's just us talking about Tom and Jerry for
Just talk about Tom and Jerry, like, and
yeah.
how Jerry's kind of a jerk.
Yeah, but like he knows when to not be a jerk, but it still doesn't matter. He still gets his comeuppance.
Yeah, yeah. It's nice that he sometimes gets his comeuppance.
Yeah.
It's not like Tweety Bird where he's just like getting away with it scot free. Sorry, people. I have unresolved issues with antagonistic cartoon animals not getting theirs.
Cyanam.
They don't really get theirs.
They don't. They
They
do not.
don't. I
They
mean, at
don't.
least Lucifer fell out of a window.
Yeah, Lucifer's dead as hell, but
Cat's dead.
yeah. But yeah, no, nothing. Nothing. Like they just kind of disappeared from the story. Like so,
Unless now, well, I guess I don't want to jump too far ahead, but you're probably going to mention the sequel. So I don't know. Were they in the sequel? I've never
I
seen it.
never saw the sequel. I am going to. Part of this is going to be me looking at the sequel and figuring out what the plot line of the sequel is because it's called Scamp's Adventure, and that's as much as I know.
Welcome to part of podcast we call JJ Reads Wikipedia.
Yeah, we're gonna figure something out for it. Um, uh, the and the opening of the movie where where the husband gives the wife a dog is straight
Mhm.
out of reality because Walt Disney did the same thing with Lillian.
Oh, you're right.
It,
I
like
forgot that story.
got a chow puppy, put it in a hat box, and that was the Christmas present. And
I wonder if that's how they sold Walt on it.
that was actually that was actually him apologizing too,
Uh,
because he had missed a date,
uh-oh.
which he was known to do, and he was very close to that dog, and the dog was very close to him. Like it was a gift for his wife, but he, as in typical Walt fashion, it was a gift for him.
It's my dog now.
Yeah,
A
like
bowling ball named Homer.
yes, it's like that. So when you go to Disneyland, you know uh, the petrified tree stump in Frontierland by the
Yes.
um, that was that was a gift that Walt bought for Lillian. And then when she got it, she's like, I don't want this. So she donates it to the theme park. Like, just put it in the theme park. Like, it was a gift for her, but clearly a gift for Walt. And now it just rests at Disneyland because like
Like,
she never wanted it. She didn't care about it. It's hers now.
and he knew.
Yeah, and
He
he
knew.
knew he knew he was gonna wind up with that damn tree stump, that petrified tree stump.
If you don't want it, all right.
Yeah, uh, so you have that. That they in terms of creatively, this movie is in CinemaScope, which is the first time for a Disney movie. So it's widescreen. Um,
Oh,
so this is the first CinemaScope. Everything like it was going, but widescreen was growing at this time,
right.
and so the movie was early on enough in production where they could just make it, film it in CinemaScope. So um,
Yeah, this is
Uh,
around the time like we're getting like Magnificent Seven and Cinescope and stuff like that, right?
yep, yep, yep. So you don't you lose things in widescreen because you don't have to do close-ups the way you used to have to, and things like that. Especially in animation, you
Right,
can't really you get a whole um, frame. So animators not really um, uh, comfortable with the situation at the time. There was layout artists in particular weren't thrilled because you have to change everything because you're used to doing things kind of off frame.
right.
Like and I think one of the things uh, there was something there was one particular situation. I think it might have been the rat killing scene where it's like you have to remember to move your characters off frame and they have to travel further than they've had to before because it used to just be 4 by 3 and it was but now it's
Right.
like oh wait that's right there's actually several more inches that we have to remember the characters have to move out of because it makes just look like they're teleporting or something if you still treat things like it's 4 by 3.
That would have been
um,
awesome if just having them teleport. But so basically, like, I'm gonna put my nerd glasses on here, even though I don't wear glasses,
yeah,
and you do, but we're both nerds.
yeah,
Anyway, equivalent would be like a splash page, right, in a comic
yeah,
book.
yeah,
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 exactly. So they have to um, they just have to remember that the characters are moving across as opposed to the background moving like the old way.
right.
So it took I think obviously accomplished it, but there's some obvious hiccups that go along with these things. So,
But
but
if nothing else, it kind of established a new technique for animating.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Um, animation has only had very few milestones. I mean, in terms of like because like theatrical cartoons were color out the gate.
right,
So there was no black and white theatrical cartoons ever. So existing in theaters in the first place was like the first milestone. So you didn't have to go. It's like, and this is the first theatrical cartoon with talking, and this is the first theatrical cartoon in Technicolor and stuff like that. Like, because all of that stuff was pre-established by the time theatrical cartoons became a thing with Snow White. Um, so
this is the first. This is the
CinemaScope is
first.
really one of the first like big changes to
Right.
animation, and you really don't get another change until like a big technological advancement for another uh, 20, 30 years from now, where computer animation starts becoming a thing. Like you're gonna start seeing computer animation pop up with like the Rescuers Down Under and things like that, where they're gonna start
Right.
toying around with things. Doesn't it takes much more? It takes much longer for them to make a feature length. Anyone to make a feature length um, theatrical cartoon using only computers. But
Well,
you know,
and there was some like there was like some kind of there was some animated sorry some leaps in animation for like Land Before Time as well, wasn't there?
yes, but
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah. So you're gonna, this is one of the rare milestones of animation. This is important. Like the movie itself, let's just get out of the way. Not much to it.
Right.
It's fine. I don't hate it, but it's empty calories for the most part. I think it's charming as all hell. I like the character designs. I like the characters are all like all the animal characters are very well established. Like their
Right.
personalities, you pick it up instantly. You know who's who. They all feel fleshed out, even though you only see them for a short amount of time. Like Lady and Tramp are the only two that have any sort of like character development, really. But
You know what's interesting? The way you're describing the movie, like you're saying, I like it, I don't hate it. And you're talking about the characters. It's if you go back and it's kind of similar to the way you talked about Dumbo all those
yeah,
weeks ago.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah. I would agree with that. I would say that this is sort of on the level of Dumbo for me.
yeah, and I
Once
can
I
see
look at
that.
once I look at the list, I'll have to see like it's probably going to be around Dumbo on my list. Um, but
Dumbo with dogs.
yeah, and speaking of Dumbo, they just put out the more Dumbo teaser posters. Um,
Yeah, I saw those at the when I went to see Aquaman this past weekend.
that's been fun. Uh,
Uh,
speaking of
sure.
speaking of an, speaking of animated animals with quirky personalities, you get the drum playing octopus. So
Oh my God. Yeah. To be fair, I got paid to see that movie, so
well, yeah.
yeah.
My friend just went. This is now the Aquaman podcast.
It's Aquaman.
My friend went to go see Aquaman. He got a gift card for Christmas and went to go see it. He walked out of it.
Yeah, I love that. Like, so two people went to see
Yeah,
the movie. Like, I got a gift card, and one of the ones like I'm on the clock.
yeah. Nobody. Yeah, nobody. Yeah, the two people that I know that went to go see Aquaman didn't have to pay a dime of their own. So, so hey, you know what? But I don't like Dumbo's blue eyes. I don't know. Something's upsetting about his bright blue eyes.
I mean, he has blue eyes in the cartoon, but like they really it's like no, we're gonna focus on that.
Yeah, like, but it's a cartoon. Like, it's vaguely, it is, it's as much as an elephant as like a circus animal cookie is an elephant. You know, it's like, yeah, okay, it's elephant shaped. You can tell it's an elephant, but this one. It's an elephant. It's wrinkly and gray and everything. It's like it's an elephant, and it just has these human eyes.
So and we're off track, and I'm sorry, but
It's Disney.
so
We're on this soundtrack of
yeah,
Disney.
we're on the track. So like, is Colin Farrell just doomed to be like depressing dad in every live action Disney movie?
Absolutely. That's
Like say Mr. Banks, he's like,
yeah,
I am an alcoholic. And this one's
yeah,
like, I've got one arm.
yeah. No, I mean, hey, you know what? You're cashing the Disney check. So at the end of the day, you want me to be a depressing alcoholic, but I get to cash a Disney check? I'm here.
You want me to be Ulysses Claw and
Yeah,
Dumbo?
it's gonna. That's Dumbo's ears are vibranium, and it's like he's like Falcon. It's actually
Wow.
yeah,
Again, this is all technically still Disney, people.
yeah, and I'm like, yeah, it's all just the Disney multiverse is all this is we're talking about now.
At some point, we'll get to Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, yeah. Look, if we're going to talk about milestones of cartoons, that's probably the most recent animation milestone we have because it's the first time somebody tried something significantly different with a cartoon in almost 30 years.
Yeah. It's like it's maybe the second time in the last 10 years like, hey, let's make Spider-Man but really good. Let's try that.
But it's the first time watching a cartoon. Sorry, everyone. This is the show now. We're talking about other
Spider-Man.
cartoons. But Into the Spider Verse was the first time sitting down watching a cartoon in decades. I mean, I think it's fair to say at this point where I
Hmm.
felt like where they were they weren't being complacent. They were trying something different with an animation style. Like, not since the original Toy Story did you really feel like something was
Right.
like actually like they're not just resting on the history of cartoons, the laurels of it. You have drawn. Yes, it's CG still, but it's non-traditional and it has a kind of a. It's very fluid, but it also has a weird staccato movement to it that
Right.
makes it feel animated. But
And
yeah,
of course you're also a big Spider-Man fan.
yeah, that doesn't help. But I'm definitely not, uh, uh, you know, unbiased.
Yeah, I think you are admittedly he's your favorite character, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
uh, absolutely my favorite comic book character, and like I am less critical of like Spider-Man 3. Like, it's not to say I like Spider-Man 3, I'm just less critical of it as most people. But so like it's just my personality type with
Like
Spider-Man.
I just like Spider-Man.
Yeah, just let me have Spider-Man. Um, but
Now I just want a really good, critically acclaimed and well animated World War Hulk movie now.
Yeah, they never gonna get that, my friend.
God,
You got your
crushing
one.
my dreams, JJ.
You got your Planet Hulk movie, and that is
I want.
you. You got your Planet Hulk cartoon. That's not great, and you got your Gladiator Hulk and uh, Thor Ragnarok. That's the best you're gonna get, and you're gonna have to be happy with it.
So you're saying I'll never get my future imperfect Hulk cartoon?
I never said that. That you might actually get, especially if Disney kind of needs like tries to revitalize that division because like they used to do those movies and then they just
Yeah,
stopped. And those
the
movies
Hulk
weren't great.
versus
They did the Hulk versus. They had the Hulk versus Deadpool and Hulk versus Wolverine. Or no, it was Hulk versus
Thor.
Thor and Hulk versus Wolverine. Deadpool was just in the Wolverine.
Hulk versus Wolverine's legit, by the way. It
Yeah,
is legit.
yeah. That Thor one is not.
No, you just skip past that.
Yeah, but they also had like an Iron Man one. They had a Doctor Strange
Yeah,
one. They had two Ultimates ones.
there was like the like the anime Wolverine one.
And there's like a whole anime line.
Right.
It's just like anime X-Men, anime. But
So
yeah.
so
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 in
hey
short,
guys,
Lady
Lady
and the
the Tramp,
Tramp
it's
is
it's a
not.
movie.
Yeah, yeah. I guess we can get to like
Spider-Man.
yeah. We'll get to critically. Spider-Man was a major success. Yeah. Which can
Oh,
now
JJ,
no wait. I was doing it. I was doing a segue
you're doing a
here.
bit. You're doing a
I'm doing a
bit.
bit. You
All
interrupt.
right.
This is a yes and situation. You need to take improv courses. So yeah, Spider-Man was a critical success out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Same cannot be said for Lady of the Tramp. See, I was doing a thing.
You're putting your Leonard Maltin vest on there.
Yeah. No, critics did not like Lady of the Tramp when it came.
You know, I could see why. I could see why. Um, but I mean, like I'm kind of with you where like I didn't dislike the movie, but
Yeah.
it's like it's kind of there.
The biggest complaint that this movie had, and it's a very interesting complaint, mostly stems from the animation. Um, they
Just a,
they call it. I mean, everyone was saying at the time it was like it was sort of subpar Disney animation, and they were also saying that the CinemaScope didn't help things at all. Like it made things even more glaringly,
mhm.
like obvious that this is below Disney standard that we're used to, um, and that it's just sort of a saccharine story, anyways. Like it's just this ooey gooey, you know, just nothing to it kind of story. Um, but Variety liked it, so not everyone hated it.
No, well, like, um, and I know it's like a different story, but like when I was watching the movie, do you remember Johnny Fedora and Alice Bluebonnet?
Yes,
This is like the dog version of that kind of.
I can see what you're coming at right there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking at the Time quote for reviews for this, and it's a good line, and I think it sort of sums up the sort of general sentiment at the time. Um, it was Disney has for so long parlayed gooey sentiment and stark horror into profitable cartoons that most moviegoers are apt to be more surprised. Sorry, I went too fast in that one. Anyway, starkly into profitable cartoons that most moviegoers are apt to be more surprised than disappointed to discover that this combination somehow doesn't work this time. And that's sort of like it's everything that's a Disney movie that makes a Disney movie is here. Just
right.
for whatever reason, it doesn't come together in a an overall memorable movie. Um, I'm not saying, and I'm not even saying it's not, you know, non-memorable. I mean, obviously, it has one of the most iconic Disney scenes in film here,
Right.
but
And it has like everybody knows the cats,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Um,
Um, but
but contemporary wise and stuff on Rotten Tomatoes, 93%. I mean, like you go everything has a renaissance and Disney stuff. Like you especially see it with especially some of the older Disney stuff, Fantasia in particular.
Right.
At the time, not particularly well received. You go into the future, it becomes increasingly more well received. You look at it for, something that, was sort of just saccharine and generic in its time, sort of with the eyes of a different era, see it as something completely different. I
Right.
think Lady and the Tramp has sort of played into that a little bit more. Maybe more people could probably connect with it a little more because you have more and more people are, it is about, two it's a Romeo and Juliet ish kind of story.
It is.
With,
And like
with
you said, West Side
yeah,
Story.
yeah, West Side Story and stuff, where it's like, culturally, these are two totally different people that have no business ever even knowing one another, um, falling in love, and it works out. And,
Right.
there are people that can see that and sort of like long for that or connect with that or feel that. Especially now, as time marches on and it's becoming increasingly more, disparate cultures and stuff coming together, you know,
Right.
it, so like, a movie that was just sort of, yeah, whatever in 1955, by the time you hit 1980 and we're kids and everything, and it's, you look at it from different, with different eyes. And so, it becomes a better movie throughout time. And Fantasia is the number one example of that with Disney, where through time has done that movie wonders. It's a better movie probably now than it was in the 1930s, and
Well,
you know,
we think
nothing's
about
changed. Nothing's changed about the movie. They haven't added scenes to it or removed scenes to like it's not a director's cut or anything. It's the same movie. It's just a different era. You know.
it could be a whole thing where, the movie was criticized for being too saccharine and too sweet. But I think maybe depending on the era and time, people want that.
Yeah,
People might want just a sweet
a
movie.
sweet saccharine movie. Like
Right.
people today are probably more excited to see a movie that's just like makes you feel warm inside.
Yeah.
For various reasons that this show is not for. But sometimes sometimes you want to see something representative of what's going on in the world, and sometimes
Yeah.
you just want something that makes you forget. And
Yeah.
that's a reason why the new Spider-Man is so well received, because it combines both. It's a very uplifting story, but it's also lightly touching on sort of societal issues at the time.
Right.
But it's not in your face. It just sort of
No.
uses it as sort of like it kind of pokes at it a little bit.
Yeah.
Just, so. Um, but at the end of the day, it's a very uplifting, happy story.
Yeah.
But like with all Disney movies, obviously the new Spider-Man isn't a Disney movie, but all cartoons tend to follow the Disney pattern of making a movie where it's a happy story overall, but but like the Time review said, there's horror involved in all of these too. So you need that horror,
The
and
rat would be
yeah,
the horror.
and in this one, the horror is the aunt, I guess. I mean, that's the horror. I mean, the rat, it just is
Yeah.
part of what's going on. If Lady were in the house still, the rat probably never would have made it to that. It probably never even bothered going into the house because there's a dog there.
Right.
But it's all the aunt's fault. So the only real protagonist in the movie is the aunt, which is a character you never see. You see her like in a couple of scenes, and she's a jerk every time you see her. But again, you only see her two times.
It's the cats, the Siamese cats are the antagonists, and
Yeah,
it's
and
it's they're more mischievous than I guess than anything.
yeah, they're not trying to kill Lady, even though that's almost what their uh, antics equate to in the end, because they're not thinking ahead of she's gonna get kicked out of the house and gonna wind up at the pound, and we don't know what's gonna happen at the pound. So
It just playing off the dynamic that cats and dogs don't like each other.
yeah, yeah, and
Dogs and cats living in harmony, mass hysteria.
but yeah, I mean, but for the most part, uh, it did great money wise, which is good
Right.
for the studio. They needed that. It made Its lifetime total is $187 million.
It's not bad at all.
Okay. I mean, for a movie that cost 4 million, I think, to make, which is just kind of standard theatrical movie money in 1955. It's funny to think 1955 and $4 million in 1955 to make a cartoon. It seems absurd, doesn't it? Like, I don't
What
know.
was part of that budget because of the cinescope or cinescope?
But I mean, it's not too far removed from just what, because I think Peter Pan, and I'm going to look back at Peter Pan's budget because I think that's just sort of. Um, Unfortunately, I'm going back to Peter Pan. Peter Pan's budget was 4 million as well. So it's just what movies, cartoons
Uh,
cost.
you know what? And I kind of I did some looking up because I was thinking about movies that came out in 1955,
Yeah,
and I'm thinking there might be a reason it wasn't as critically received as we thought we would think.
yeah,
Because you think about like East of Eden came out that year,
yeah.
kind of a dark film. You have like a film like Bad Day at Black Rock came out that year.
Rebel Without a Cause was 1950.
Rebel. And these are all like kind of cynical stories with like little kind of darker tones. And
Yeah.
here comes this cute dog movie.
And what was oh, and I did look it up, and the winner of the winner that year of like Best Picture was a movie called Marty.
Oh, with Ernest Borgnine.
Ernest Borgnine, and then
That's a
yeah, I
great
mean,
movie.
yeah, and that was
It,
the
it,
yeah, that was the big Academy Award winner that year.
but Marty itself, it's kind of it's not so dissimilar from Lady and the Tramp, where it's a love story,
Yeah,
but it's also like kind of sad and has like a dark tone to it. You have Blackboard Jungle came out that year.
yeah.
That
I was kind of
movie
going to
is
mention Blackboard Jungle was one of the. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, it was. And again, you cannot overstate enough that Walt Disney really at this time wasn't really with the studio anymore. So, like, I mean, he still had final say in things, but like, he just effectively let like WED, what we know now as WED,
right.
which is the sort of Imagineering arm of Disneyland, where that's where like the engineering and stuff is. It's Walt, because it's just his initials, Walter Elias Disney. Um, but it's like the engineering. It was what was designing Disneyland, and like basically he had just set up shop on the studio lot and signed away his name so they could keep putting it like it was a contract. Like he wasn't with the studio. He signed it so they could keep using his name on the movies, and he had like oversight of the movies.
Right.
Like they weren't going to be able to. He's not going to have his name go on something that he doesn't agree with. But Disneyland was his everything at this time. Like, and from here until he's only around for another decade at this point, a little over a decade at this point. Um, so from here on out, Disneyland is his focus and will always be his focus. It's what he cares about the most. It's what he's going to care about. Like Disneyland, and then eventually in the last few years of his life, the concept of Epcot, Disney World, and stuff. Like
Right.
that's his focus. He's still working on movies, obviously, but like from here on out, you can tell there is sort of like, with the exception of the next movie, um, everything else is just sort of fine, but not
Right.
great like some of the previous Disney stuff that we've had. Like Lady and the Tramp is something that they've been working on for years, but when you're finally into the final production swing of everything, like the things that would come together because Walt was so meticulous about what you're doing and how you're doing things and everything sort of falls to the wayside because he's not really
Yeah.
there for it anymore.
Those are
He's
the
not.
facts.
He's busy, working with his Imagineers, working on Disneyland, and so you suffer a little bit. You see it with Lady and the Tramp. You see it with a couple of other movies coming up. I don't think you see it as much because so next week is Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty.
Um, I think Sleeping Beauty is sort of Walt's sort of last hurrah with
Yeah.
Walt. Um, like it's the castle at Disneyland. and
Right.
stuff. Like, we'll get to that obviously when we get to Sleeping Beauty next week. But um, but
So
it's sort of the last one where you really feel the Walt hand in it. And still, it's not their best, but
it's
people
memorable.
it's memorable, and people sort of tend to link because it familiarity wise, it feels like Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty are sort of like part of a trilogy almost. Like they're all
The
very similar.
princess movies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah. So like so
And so you're kind of talking about like Walt spending a lot of time, like he was staying in that little room that's upstairs on Main Street, right? When you first walk
when
in.
when when Disneyland is being built, like he, it's either there, like that wasn't like it was not one of the first things built, but like when Disney after Disneyland's opened, you'll find him there.
Right.
During construction and stuff, like when this movie came out, it was still under construction and stuff. Like he was still there every day, overseeing everything. Like stuff was going on that could never happen in today's modern construction game. I mean, you go there and like there's no, it's like there's hardly any ramps or handrails or anything accessibility wise. It's all designed to be, thematic for for the area.
Aesthetically pleasing. Yeah.
Yeah, it wants it to look aesthetically pleasing, but also maintaining the theming. So, like, turn of the century Main Street, you know, world of the future, and things like ramps and handrails and high vis paint and things kind of defeat that. And they get away with not including some of that stuff and not having to go back and stuff because they're kind of grandfathered in that way.
Right.
So that's why when you go to Main Street and stuff, some of the stuff that they do it just because it's the right thing to do, but they don't have to. Um, but they still
The-
don't. It's still not Disneyland in particular, because Disney World was open was 70s and stuff was starting to become more. There was more
yeah.
codes involved at the
I
time,
mean,
but back then it's not as many codes, so it's not
well,
exactly handicap access. But new stuff that they work on, they obviously have to.
I will tell you though, like, in all fairness, I have two children with autism, and when you go to town hall on Main Street and you explain the situation, like, hey, they have sensory issues, they have behavior issues, they will totally
Oh yeah,
fast pass you.
oh yeah. I explained my go back and listen to the Peter Pan story that I have for the last episode, where it's like, yeah, my mom has like she gets when we go to Disneyland, if I go with her, she gets the medical stuff too for Parkinson's stuff.
Right.
Um, so yeah, they are they are very willing to work with you. It's just that it's not designed with that
Right.
in mind. So they have to work with you in sort of roundabout ways sometimes. Um, because like some of these, especially the ones of the earliest rides, the queues are not designed, especially Fantasyland. Those queues are not designed for anything more than standing in line. Um, that's why Peter Pan is like a 90-minute wait every time you're there.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that till you mentioned it. Like, yeah, you don't really see ramps and you don't see like
Yeah,
kind of certain accommodations you might be used to at like
used to.
say
It's
a Six Flags or whatever.
the whole thing is handrails. Like a lot of older stuff that's there, like there's no handrails going up and down certain like older structures, stairs and stuff. Like it's weird in some instances, but it's also 1955. If you tear something down and have to rebuild it, i.e., like Fantasyland, where it got rebuilt in the 80s,
Hmm.
you start seeing a lot more like accessibility options going in.
Right.
Although show buildings are all exactly the same, so you're just building around the show buildings, so you can't really do too much structurally that way. But you go to like Indiana Jones, and it's mostly all ramps. There's no stairs.
Right. But you think about like pirates as kind of like, yeah, you're just going to be kind of in line there.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a one way situation. If you have and part of that involves like It's like, looping in queues and stuff. And it's like, yeah, you get to stand in line. If you want to do the handicap accessible stuff, you have to go to the exit.
I have I'm kind of even further off track. Um, I have a goal one day. I'm gonna eat at the really expensive restaurant inside of Pirates.
Oh yeah, yeah, Blue Bayou.
Have you ever eaten there?
I have eaten at the Blue Bayou restaurant.
Was it worth it?
Mm, no. I mean, it's super cool. You can't defeat a good ambiance. Um, the reason why it wasn't great for me is because I'm not the biggest seafood guy, and that was sort of what was the menu of the time there. I don't know
Hmm.
what the menu is now, but like everything's themed. So um, at the time, it was like a lot of heavy like fish and calamari related things. So yeah, it wasn't great for me, but still, I mean, it's it's worth doing once. Like
I,
you can,
well, that kind of I kind of mixes that playing because I have a seafood allergy.
like I said, I don't know what the menu is these days because that was 15 years ago. So
Like, here are your chicken fingers, sir.
to be fair, it's honestly not that much more expensive than a typical sit down restaurant at Disneyland.
Well,
To sit down restaurants at Disneyland tend to all be very expensive for what you get unless it's like breakfast. Like even if you were to go to the Hungry Bear, like a burger is like almost $20. Like,
it's you know what? You're not wrong. By the way, this podcast is brought to you by Little Red Wagon Corn Dogs.
yes. Uh, I told Nick that I am uh, my plan is to go to Disneyland in May for around my birthday, and that he better show up. I better see him there. We better do. Better film. We better each have a corn dog in hand, recording an
Yes.
episode. I'll have to see what I'm gonna have to look and see what episode is airing in May around my birthday to see what episode it would be because it's gonna be something dumb. I just know it. It's gonna be perfect.
It's, it's, oh God. So that's what,
That's
4 months away, and we're averaging what, 4 episodes? Oh man, I don't know. It's probably gonna be it's probably gonna be like Oliver and Company.
just perfect. Yeah, something just
Yes. Remember those ornaments? Brought to you by Corn Dogs.
yeah. As we're sitting there with a Wetzel's pretzels and
Just have windscreens on corn dogs and are talking into them.
interview people pretending like our corn dogs.
Nah, this is gonna happen now. We're gonna make this happen.
But so
Speaking of dogs,
Speaking of Disneyland and dogs, there is no Disneyland attraction for Lady and the Tramp.
nope.
I don't think there's anything for Lady and the Tramp at Disneyland. Like,
I no.
I would assume that the Italian guy has a restaurant that I can't think of off the top of my head.
It just has spaghetti.
Yeah, but I can't really like. There's no like costumed characters wandering around of them.
I feel like it would be hard to do like you know animals that actually walk like animals.
Yeah, and because there's no Bambi.
There's no Bambi. There's no
but there is,
yeah.
but there is a Pluto.
Yeah, but I that's a fair point, I guess, but
Yeah,
I don't
uh,
know.
there.
But
No,
Pluto's awesome.
yeah. Uh, the character that like the person in the Pluto costume seems to have the most fun because
Yes.
gets to be a dog, so there's a little less like there's a little more chaos that he can
Right.
do as the character. It's like being Goofy, like it's not like being Goofy where you have to learn to walk exactly like Goofy, and like all that stuff. It's like you're a dog, pretend to
And
lick,
and,
pretend to
and it
lick the
helps.
kid, and you don't even have to even pretend to not talk. Like they always have to find an excuse to not talk. Uh,
Right.
but like with this, Pluto's not expected to talk, so it's just sit down. People want like service animals want to take their picture with Pluto and stuff.
Right. Well, yeah, Pluto's already a nonverbal character, so it probably makes it easier.
Yeah, and it's a lot
Unlike,
of just sort of sitting around or something.
yeah. Unlike Mary Poppins and Bert, who wouldn't even stop to like sign my son's autograph book. What the hell, Bert?
Listen, they have a lot going on right now. They have a new movie out in theaters. There's a lot on their plate. You gotta just let them be. Give them their space. They are celebrities.
Sign the book, Bert.
Uh, there is, as we mentioned earlier, a sequel to Lady and the Tramp. Lady and the Tramp 2, Scamp's Adventure. So this is the part of the show where I am going to Wikipedia and seeing what God's name Lady and the Tramp 2, Scamp's Adventure could possibly be about. When did
I
this
feel
come
like
out? This came out in February of 2001.
okay,
Uh,
direct to
for,
video, correct?
correct. So just 46 years later, they decided to release Lady and the Tramp 2. It's
He's still in the cast.
yeah. It's
He's
19
still in the cast.
it's 1911.
Okay,
So before 4th of July. I don't understand how it could be night. Based on when I was looking at stuff, the last movie takes place in 1910
right.
at Christmas 1910, but then we end on Christmas.
So is it like
So
an in between call or what?
because if it's I'm not gonna. I already don't understand the timeline at the end of the last one. So just it takes place 1910 before the 4th of July. It says 2 years and a few months after the events of the first film. But the Wikipedia page said, you know what? Just I don't care. I don't care.
It's okay,
Uh,
JJ. It's all right.
yeah,
We're here
scam.
for you.
Yeah. Uh, it okay. So it seems like it's just the same movie. It
Two
really is
years
like
later.
uh, Scamp is being a scamp.
Scamping.
Yeah, he wants to not be he wants to be a free dog. It just looks like it just looks like it's like a dumb Homeward Bound, or like it's just like he gets away now, he's free, and now oh things happen. Like this just seems like this could have been on TV at any given
It's
time.
Snoopy come home.
Yeah, I mean, uh, the film received mixed reviews. Rotten Tomatoes has it at 45%.
I mean, you think about it, it's a sequel to a movie that wasn't critically well received to begin with.
Yeah.
Let's make a sequel to Atlantis.
Um, I would love to see what the hell that would be.
Just that,
Yeah, it's
just
just
a NyQuil fever dream.
although I'm saying that, and just you wait and see, there's going to be a sequel to Atlantis that we both completely forgot about.
Lassiter's like, you know what? Word, it's gonna happen.
Like, think about all of these like sequels that we talked about in previous. It's like we're going to make a sequel, and then like Lassiter comes in and says, "No, you're not making that sequel."
Right,
But you get Lady and the Tramp 2, Scamp's Adventure.
right.
Like, what? Okay,
It,
whatever.
and yet we have three Cars movies
And spin-offs. So,
and spin-offs.
but there is going to be a live-action Lady and the Tramp for Disney Plus.
Which is launching later this year, correct?
Yes. Actually, it began shooting in Atlanta and Savannah, Georgia, in September. All right. Oh man, Sam Elliott is gonna be Trusty.
I could totally see that.
I am, I am all in on Sam Elliott being Trusty. He's
Now the
already
tramp was most assuredly lazy, the most the laziest dog in all Los Angeles.
Justin Theroux is Tramp.
I can see that.
Uh, Tessa Thompson and Benedict Wong. So Tessa Thompson's gonna be Lady.
Tessa Thompson, as we know, as Valkyrie
Valkyrie
from Thor.
and Agent some letter in the upcoming
Yeah,
Men in Black.
and Mrs. Creed,
Yes, and this is
Mrs. Creed.
uh, in October of 2018. It was announced that Arturo Castro has been cast in the live-action role as Marco, and that Janelle Monáe has been cast in the voice of Peg. All right,
Yeah,
that sounds like that could be good. I mean, I
could be.
guess I, you know,
You know, it's kind of a shame that Disney Plus is going to be launching as we're winding down the animated films version of this podcast. Like, if this had been out like a year ago, we'd be like, you know what? Just go
Yeah,
watch it. Just go
yeah,
watch it.
yeah. But I mean, I still think Lady and the Tramp's
Oh
worth a
yeah.
check. I think it's obviously one of their weaker ones, but
I
um,
mean, it's one of the few movies we've talked about that I haven't had to go through nefarious means to watch. I
yeah.
actually own it on Blu-ray, so
Yeah. I'm looking at the director of the upcoming uh, Lady and the Tramp live action movie. Uh, you know what? I trust him. Uh, he was character layout artist and posing artist for Tiny Toons Adventures, How I Spent My Summer Vacation.
I do like that. I do like Tiny Toons. How I spent my summer vacation.
Yeah. He was the director of the Lego Ninjago movie. Um,
Okay.
he worked extensively on the um, Tiny Toons. He was a layout artist for Ren and Stimpy, a layout artist for Batman, the animated series.
Okay, so
He is,
Tiny Toons and Batman. I'm
yeah.
sold. I'm
Uh,
in.
he was the prop designer for The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, and he was character and layout artist for an episode of Animaniacs. Just an episode.
He's like, you know what we need
Oh,
in Sonic? Chili dogs.
he is 100% just like the guy behind like a lot of those late 90s, early 2000s Cartoon Network. Like he was involved in some way, shape, or form.
Like
And
Ed, Ed, and Eddie, or
yeah, Powerpuff Girls, Cow and Chicken, I Am Weasel, Dexter's Laboratory, Samurai Jack, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, SpongeBob SquarePants. Uh, that was Nickelodeon, not Cartoon Network. But
yeah,
um,
yeah.
and he was the executive producer, director, and voice actor for the pretty great Tron Uprising cartoon. So
Which I've never seen.
yeah, so he's got a Disney connection with the Tron thing. Um, so yeah, he's coming up with a
Yeah, he's got, he's got the receipts.
yeah. I don't even think video game wise, nothing.
No, nothing I can think of.
Yeah, I'm
And
not
if you
even.
can't think of anything, it doesn't
I
exist.
It's been since they were brand new that I've played the Kingdom Hearts games. So if they're involved in Kingdom Hearts, it's absolutely not saved in my brain meat in the slightest. So
Right. Um, I,
so
I
are
do
you?
own a piece of merchandise for the movie.
Oh yeah,
Um, I got a plush Tramp and Lady for my wife for Valentine's Day a few years ago,
there you
and
go.
they're both holding a heart in their mouth that has doggone sweet embroidered on it.
Mm. So
Yes.
so hey, you know what? There's plenty of merchandise for this because it's easy to sell plush dogs to people.
Yeah, it's like yeah.
Yeah, but it's not the marketing powerhouse like Alice in Wonderland was a few weeks ago, or Peter Pan even. But there's plenty to be had, and like I said, it has probably I would put it in the top 5 iconic Disney animated scenes with the dinner scene. Like,
I feel like there should be like I feel like they should have partnered with Franco American for spaghetti, you know?
yeah, Peter Pan
Yeah,
has Peter Pan peanut butter and Franco canned pasta for
yeah.
Tramp. Donald Duck orange. Donald
Donald
Duck
Duck
orange.
orange juice,
Yeah,
uh,
Peter
Mickey
Pan
Mouse
peanut butter,
goldfish crackers.
goldfish crackers, Peter Pan peanut butter, and Lady and the Tramp spaghetti. There you go.
Yeah.
Are you ready to rank it, Nick?
Let's rank this movie.
Uh,
I feel
Nick,
like we need a soundbite here. Rank 'em.
eventually, I'm
Yeah.
going to start.
Can we
I'm working on things.
can we get the NWO voiceover guy to do it?
I, I was leaning towards finding the NBA Jam guy, but either one's fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Or the guy that does or have some sort of really elaborate Soul Calibur. Though fates are intertwined through swords and magic, the ranking of these video games is a story, or movies, or story eternally told. Just
Can't escape from Dancing Fate.
But anyways, Nick, is it better or worse than Dumbo?
It is worse than Dumbo.
Fantasia?
It's worse than Fantasia.
Cinderella?
It's worse than Cinderella.
Ichabod and Mr. Toad?
It is worse than Ichabod Mr. Toad.
Peter Pan?
Boy. You know what? I think I like it more than Peter Pan. So
You
I'm going to
like?
go with that.
You're gonna put this above Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp,
Yeah.
above Peter Pan. So that puts it at your one, two, three, four, fifth, number 5 on your list.
Yeah.
Let's see. For me, worse than Fantasia, worse than Cinderella, worse than Snow White, worse than Peter Pan. Do I like it more than Pinocchio? Yes, I like it more than Pinocchio.
So you're at number 5 as well, sounds like.
It is also my number 5, which
Wow.
surprises me when looking at it. I expected it to be a little lower than that, but I do like it more than Pinocchio and Alice in Wonderland. I think
Again, to reiterate, folks, JJ and I's lists are going to skew wildly coming up soon.
so. Let's just look ahead here. So, as we said earlier, coming up is going to be next week will be Sleeping Beauty,
Mm-hmm.
which is a major Disney classic,
Right. Yep.
major one. So we'll just go ahead and look at the next 5 movies, and so we can get an
Sure.
idea of what we're looking at. So next week is Sleeping Beauty,
Right.
1959.
Mm-hmm.
Then 101 Dalmatians, 1961.
Right.
Sword in the Stone, 1963.
Right.
The Jungle Book, 1967. And that's where I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to end off because that will round out the Walt Disney era. He will have died before Jungle Book came out, but it's the last one that he had any part of.
I could tell you 2 of those movies are very, very high on my list.
I will absolutely say of those 4 that I just rattled off, one of them is very, very high. One of them is pretty high, and the other 2 are going to sort of, I don't know until we get there. Uh,
I'm wondering if I'm going to guess the one I'm thinking of that I like a lot, you don't think of as fondly.
we'll see. We shall see.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I am pretty sure I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But we shall see. It'll
Yeah.
be interesting. So
Yeah.
that's going to.
We'll
So
fight. Here. Whatever.
so yeah, 1967 will wrap up sort of a Walt era of Disney.
Right.
After that, you're going to start getting into post Walt, which has varying degrees of success.
Recycled animation. Sorry, what?
And in some cases, even though they have recycled animation, still pretty fun movies.
Yes.
I think we know which one we're talking about. In particular, I'm going to say that.
Uh, which is where we are going to really split.
I don't think we're going to split as hard as we suspect, but there probably will be a split.
Yes.
But
It's not until we get to Tarzan, folks, that JJ and I will actually have
it'll
a
be
flat
fisty.
out screaming, cursing match.
And it has
You,
nothing. It has nothing to do with the actual cartoon itself. So
yes. For your audio pleasure, JJ and I will curse at each other.
yeah, it will be
So look forward
there.
to
There will be a premium episode that will be uncensored.
that. Please be excited.
Please clap.
Please clap.
But until we get to then, I want to thank you all again for joining us. It's great to have you back, Nick.
Glad to be back, man.
The schedule's probably going to change up a little bit. We're recording these differently now. Schedules have gotten all kind of screwed up. So it's probably going to be a Thursday show from here on out. It used to be Tuesday, Wednesday, depending on how successful my editing was. But probably going to move them to Thursdays or Fridays, depending on how things shake out. But
Yeah.
still weekly. I'm gonna have one out every week until we're done, and maybe even more so, based on some plans that we
Hmm.
have.
Hmm. Stroking my chin for your audio pleasure again.
Right into the microphone. Good.
Right
Uh,
into there you go. Okay, get right up in the beard area.
but until then, thank you once again, Nick. Thank you,
Thank you.
and have a magical day.